Good afternoon, Average Flatlanders. I'm going to do a video today similar to the last one we did, yet I think I have a different take. Last time we talked about grizzly bear reintroduction, and I had a lot of views on that just because I spent a lot of time backpacking in grizzly country. Today, we're going to talk about another hot topic I've seen a lot online, and this is the reintroduction of wolves. Specifically, there's been a lot of talk about this in the Colorado area. Apparently, recently, there's been a fight between the ranchers and the Forest Service, blah, 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 and it sounds like it's getting pushed through. They are going to be wolves reintroduced, which is making a lot of ranchers and people that live in that area mad about the wolf reintroduction. As someone myself who's run across wolves and been around them in Minnesota, I've seen them, heard them close. I think they're beautiful animals. I think they're pretty sweet. I think I would rather run across a wolf than a bear. I don't know, maybe that's not a good idea, but they seem pretty cool. But this is a really interesting topic because I've actually had talks with locals who live in areas where wolves have been reintroduced and taken over the area, come back. And it's been interesting to talk to the people who live in those areas. I'm not sure we could talk about what the ranchers specifically complained about in Colorado, but for in Minnesota, for example, I've talked to locals who complain that, the moose populations have gone way down. Moose and deer populations have crashed because of the wolves. And this has actually been backed up by some studies and some quotes from biologists out of Minnesota saying, yes, there is a lot of pressure on moose calf populations in part because of wolves. But when it comes to this thing in Colorado, the ranchers are not wanting this to happen. This seems more like a cultural issue to me. They obviously just don't want it to happen. They tried some legal moves. They were complaining about loss and damage to livestock. They were complaining about damage to animals like grouse that they probably really don't care about, but they're just using it. They complained about, they wanted studies about outdoor activities, how it impacts, but I think those are probably pretty weak arguments because wolves are a lot of places and they're already dealing with bears and mountain lions and stuff with the cattle and things. So I think adding the wolves, I don't know what do I know? I don't think it'll make that big a difference. Maybe it will. I doubt it'll impact the tourism and things like that whatsoever. In fact, it might increase it probably. I mean, I guess I can buy the impact to other animals, and I don't know about grouse, but, I have heard from people anecdotally who live in these areas that, moose populations have crashed because of it, because the wolves aren't managed well, and I could see that happening. It's probably happened in Colorado. Again, I think it's hard to be armchair people, right, and complain about this stuff, take one side or the other. I mean, my biggest complaint with reintroductions is that probably once those reintroductions happen, it seems like the authorities don't take necessary steps to maybe manage and control those populations as well as they should, which is always a problem. But I don't know if that's the reason why they should not introduce something like wolves into Colorado. I think it's probably fine. A lot of times I think this comes down to just arguments that go back and forth. A lot of people will point to places like Yellowstone and say, oh, look, it's going great there. Well, yes and no, Yellowstone is a special place, right? There's not many places like it, and you can't really compare or call like Minnesota or Colorado Yellowstone because they're not. It's just a completely different ecosystem. Of course, wolves have done well in Yellowstone and probably would because it's a special ecosystem. Are they going to act different in different places? Well, of course they are. It's going to be different. Colorado is not Yellowstone. Minnesota is not Yellowstone. In fact, there's been some studies that have said the Yellowstone wolves have made a positive impact to that ecosystem. And you can read about those. It's pretty interesting. So it sounds like the ranchers are going to lose this battle in Colorado. They're getting wolves. I don't think it's that big a deal just because wolves are a lot of places. I mean, if you got them in Minnesota, you can probably have them in Colorado and not have too many problems. But what do I know? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Wolves, yes. Wolves, no.